Hello and welcome to another Oxygen XML live event. My name is Alin Belu and I will be your host for today's webinar, Leveraging the Power of AI and Schematron for Content Verification and Correction. During this 1 hour live event, Octavian Nadolu, project manager at Synchrosoft, will be our guide through the world of AI. To be more specific, he will be exploring the application of AI in conjunction with Schematron and Schematron Quick Fix. He will begin with a comprehensive overview of AI before going on to highlight the potential advantages it brings and shed the light on the challenges that we may encounter when utilizing AI for the purposes of content verification and correction. Before we get started, let me tell you some information that you need to know about today's live event. This webinar is being recorded as we speak. After the event comes to an end, the recording will be made available on the event page on our site, oxygenxml.com, along with Octavian's presentation slides. And also, it's worth mentioning that Octavian already uploaded his presentation slides in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar interface if you want to download them. And to get back to my information, the recording will be also uploaded on our YouTube channel titled Oxygen XML, as you might know by now. I encourage you to take a look at our channel afterwards, of course, and see for yourself an impressive library of tutorials and videos that are available there. Another important aspect that we care about is that as we go along, we encourage you to ask us questions by using the questions panel from the GoToWebinar interface, where our colleagues, Alex Gitiano and Florin Nica, will assist us by answering to all of your questions in real time. And of course, we will be addressing those questions again at the end in a Q&A session, along with your latest entries for the benefit of everyone joining us today. So with all of this being said, let us welcome Octavian Nadolu to the virtual stage. Hello, Octavian.
Hello, Aline. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new webinar about AI. So let me share my screen. So today we'll discuss about AI and how you can use AI for content verification and correction together with Schematron and Schematron quick fixes. So this is the agenda of the presentation. We'll discuss a little bit about AI, about generative pre-trained transformers and OpenAI, about Schematron and Schematron quick fixes, how you can implement the AI support in Schematron and SQF. We'll see some interesting examples and solutions, the benefits and also the challenges that we have in implementing the AI support, and also how we can use AI in development. So first of all, what is artificial intelligence? It's a branch of computer science that deals with simulation of intelligent behavior in computers. And this idea started from ancient times, and in the 50s it began to take shape. Researchers start to begin to use computer to simulate human intelligence. Then there was an AI program developed by Alan Turing. Then in the 70s, an expert system was developed, and in the 80s, the emergence of neural networks. Today, the AI, it's used a lot to automate processes, to improve efficiency, but also to solve complex problems, and lately also for natural language processing. Natural language processing, it's a subfield of AI that focuses on understanding and generating human language using machines. And machine learning involves training algorithms that learn patterns in data. Then we have also deep learning, which it's a type of machine learning that use neural networks for this part. Then we have the GPT, or generative pre-trained transformers, that are network models that are used that uses the transformers architecture, and it's a type of large language model. And pre-trained refers to the fact that are trained on a large corpus of data. An application is ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI, but there are also other transformers developed also by Google or by Facebook. Transformers, a transformer, it's a learning model that uses the learning model architecture that used to process data, and is based off the idea of self-attention. And this idea was brought through a research paper, Attention is All You Need, that was in 2017 and was introduced at Google. Also, embeddings are very important in natural language processing. It's a mathematical representation of words in a vectorial space, and similar words are encoded in the vector space more closer to each other. And then these embeddings are used in the transformers to generate the content. So embeddings also are very important in this part with natural language processing and in the generative pre-trained transformers. I have a question for you here before I go forward. Do you use or intend to use AI as an assistant for content generation? And the answer would be yes, I use AI maybe from time to time, or yes, I intend to use AI and I study, or no, I'm not sure I'll use AI right now, maybe. I'll leave for a few moments so everyone will answer to the question, and then we'll share the post with you. Probably AI now it's growing, and in the future will be more and more used. We'll see how you can use in different domains, but the natural language processing part now it's growing a lot. So we'll see the result. So some of you are using, and some of you are interesting to use. This is very good because we'll see how you can use it, and some of you do not use. Maybe I will convince you to try to see how you can use it. So OpenAI, it's an open source research organization that works with artificial intelligence, and they developed and trained algorithms especially for understanding and generating text. And they are very good on text summarization, natural language processing, text generation, also for translation or text classification. You can also use OpenAI to generate code, for example. Schematron, it's a language that allows you to make assertions in documents. So you can check different parts of the document to see they are respect a specific rule. And what you can do with Schematron and AI is that you can verify different parts of the documents and delegate the verification to the AI to an AI service. So for example, you can verify if the description uses passive or active voice, or maybe if the text is written according to your style guide, or maybe if the content responds to a specific question that you want to respond to, or if the spelling it's correct. So you can delegate different tasks to the AI and use Schematron to do this. Then you have also Schematron Quick Fix, that is an extension of ISO Schematron, where you can define fixes for the assert report errors. And you can also correct the problems that are specified by the Schematron. So for example, you can use SQF and AI to correct the problems from your document. You can say maybe rephrase the current text to use active voice, or rephrase to have 20 words. So or rephrase the content will generate 20 words, or rephrase the paragraph to answer to my question, or correct the spelling and grammar, or translate the content, and so on. How you can implement this support in Schematron? So a solution would be to have an XSLT function that will call the API from ChatGPT or other API. There are some challenges here because the API maybe doesn't return you the content that you want, and you need to process it. You also need to pass a key maybe to the API. So maybe it's not so simple to use an XSLT function. Another idea is to use an extension function that can be implemented, for example, in Java. An extension function that, for example, will transform the content. And you can say that you want to transform the content, send the instruction or the prompt, how you want to transfer the content, and the content to be transformed, and then get the result back as a string. Another function can be to verify the content, and you can also pass an instruction, and then the content that needs to be verified and get a Boolean value. Then in these functions, you can also have a built-in prompt that you can enforce for all of them. So for all of prompts, you can have a built-in prompt. For example, for the verify function, you can say you are a technical writer and you need to verify the following and respond with true or false. And then use the instruction from the function that is says is active voice used here, and then the content from the user. Or for the transform function, you can say as a built-in prompt, you are a developer and you need to perform the following task, and then pass as task the instruction from the user, for example, rephrase to use active voice, and then pass also the content. So you can add these built-in prompts in the functions and allow the user to specify the rest. And writing these prompts, it's very important when you communicate with an AI. And I will not go too deep into this. I added here a link that you can check how to write a prompt and how to ask different question to and specify the AI. In Oxygen, we have a positron assistant add-on. This is an add-on that we added recently, and you can use this add-on in Oxygen XML editor, developer, and author, starting with version 25. You have these two built-in functions that can be used automatically, and also different actions. And the service it's free, so it uses our AI positron service that talks with OpenAI GPT, and you can make 250 requests per user per month. So you can play with this for free if you want to test the system. I have another question for you here. Do you use OpenAI, ChatGPT, or do you use other services, AI services, maybe on-premises services, or no, if you do not use AI yet? And we'll see the responses, and then I'll share the results with you. So sometimes maybe people want to use on-premise service. Sometimes maybe it's better to use a bigger system that offers an API to connect to it. So depends on the use cases. I'll leave for a few moments and then we'll see the response. I think we can share the results. So yeah, most of you are using OpenAI or they used OpenAI and ChatGPT. And some of you do not use yet. I will try to convince you to use it. There are some of you that are using other services. So thank you for sharing this. I think we can go further and see some interesting examples and how you can implement some Schematron rules. And the first example will be to check if the text is consistent. And for example, I have here a text that explains something about Oxygen XML editor. It's a generated text, and it says something that Oxygen can be used on Windows and Mac OS 6. And then at the end, it says something that Oxygen can be used also on Linux. So this text is not easy to read and understand by someone. So you could add a rule, a Schematron rule that verifies your paragraph or your text that you want to verify, and use the verify content function and specify as instruction, is the text easy to read and understand, and then pass the content that you want to check. And if I show you this in Oxygen, so I have this consistency here, have the text from the slide here. I have a validation scenario that I created for the current document that is validated with consistency schematron, and it uses manual validation. So I choose to use manual validation, so I'll not interrogate too many times the AI system. You can also make this automatically, but each time you make a modification, the AI system will be interrogated. So now if I validate this document, the AI will be connected, and it will check my phrase, and it says that the text is not easy to read and understand. So you can add this verification, and every time the text is not easy to read, you'll get this report. Then you can also have a fix that will correct the text and reformulate to be easy to read and understand. And you can do this with fix, SQF fix, that will say correct the consistency of the text and will replace the text with the result of the transform content function. And as instruction, will say correct the text to be easy to read and understand. And I can do this in my documents, as it say correct the text to be easy to read and understand. And this will rephrase the content, and now it says something that Oxygen can be used for works on Windows, Mac OS 6 and Linux and other platforms. So it gets me a phrase that it's more easy to read for me. Another example would be to use active voice. For example, if you have some description and you want to have active voice used in your description, you can check this using a Schematron rule that uses AI. And for example, here I reformulate some phrases to use passive voice. And if I create a rule, a Schematron rule that will say verify content, is active voice used, and pass this content, I'll get that active voice is not used and the rule will fail. So I have here another example where I use passive voice, and if I validate this document, it will say that this doesn't use active voice. And then I can choose also to correct the content and reformulate this to use active voice. And to do this, I can also create an SQF fix that will replace the content. And this time, as instruction, I will use something like reformulate to use active voice. Of course, as I told you before, there is also a built-in prompt added to this function that says you are a technical writer and you need to perform the following tasks or something like this, and then pass this instruction from the user. And if I go in Oxygen and I will say reformulate this to use active voice, it should send this text to the AI service and then get me a text that it's easy to read and understand. Then another interesting example is when you have a text that explains something like here that says OpenAI has developed an algorithm, something. And this, I want that my phrase will respond to the question, what is OpenAI? So, right, if someone writes content or rephrase some content, I want to test that my content still respond maybe to the question that I created for. So we can add a rule that verifies this. And how you can add this, for example, you can match a paragraph that describes OpenAI, and you can enforce to answer to the question, what is OpenAI? And this time the prompt will be, does it answer to the question, what is OpenAI? And if I go in Oxygen, let's go to this no grammar, the question example. And I'll validate this document. It will say that this does not answer to my question because it says something like OpenAI develops something but doesn't say what it does. And then I can also choose to reformulate this to answer to my question. And to do this, I can create a similar SQF, and this time the prompt will be reformulate the text to answer to the question, and I specify the question that I want to answer it. And if I send this prompt to the AI service, I will get as a result OpenAI. It's an organization that creates algorithms, so it specifies me what is OpenAI, right? And this is important also for your documents, but also maybe for an AI system. So if you want your documents to answer to the questions from the user or from AI systems, you can add these types of checks and verify that the documents are created correctly. So AI and Schematron can be used, and it's very powerful because the AI system knows a lot and from different domains. With Schematron, you can determine what should be verified from the document. So you'll not send to the AI system the entire content. You can send exactly the content that you want to verify and the instruction that you want to check. And you can also automate this process. You can check this document, your documents automatically just by using Schematron and adding the rules directly there. Of course, there are challenges here. The high cost of the validation. So if you are using validation as you type, and every time you make a modification, you'll get the AI to be asked about something, then the response from the AI is not always instant. Even now, this is improving, and maybe it will be faster and faster, but sometimes it can take a while to respond. Then the responses can also be inaccurate. So you need to check. If the response is accurate, and maybe have some tests that will verify this. For the Schematron quick fixes for applying fixes using AI, you can also use this power of AI to reformulate or to use active voice, or to check the grammar, or to make the content asked to your question. So you can use in a lot of ways. And you can also control the content that is sent to the AI service, the content that it's modified when you get the result back, and you can also automate this process and make the modification automatically in your document. Of course, also here are challenges. The cost is not so big because the fixes are applied only when a problem occurs, and you can apply just then. But the response from the system cannot be instant, and the response also can sometimes be inaccurate, and you need to review them. So a solution can be here to use Schematron with expert expression to verify the content, and this will reduce the cost. So you'll make the AI calls only when a fix needs to be applied, and when the validation fails, and then you can use also for validation as you type. And an example for this will be, for example, to check if the description contains more than 50 words. And you can verify this very easy using the count and tokenize function. So you can count the number of words from the short description and fail in case this exceeds 50 words. And then you can have a fix that will say reformulate this to have 50 words. So instead of doing this manually and reformulate, you can ask the AI service to do this. And I'll show you here an example. So I have this words example here. See that I have the automatically validation. This is validated with the word Schematron from here. And then I can apply also a fix, and I will say reformulate this to use 50 words, and automatically this is reformulating, keeps the content, and removes some of the parts, and will get you to 50 words. Of course, you need to check if it's correct, but it helps you to do this automatically. And the fix in this case is just an SQF fix that uses the replace function, and instruction here will be reformulate phrase to contain less than 50 words, and then pass the content that you need to reformulate. Another interesting example would be when you want to generate tags, XML tags, for example. And I added here example with a list. Let's say you have a list that it's written with dashes here, and you can have a rule that verifies the content contains a dash here, and this will fail. And then you can have a fix that will generate from this list an unordered list. And you can have a prompt like create a list from each phrase from the paragraph, and pass this content to the AI service. And this is a little bit different. So the SQF fix this time, in order to create content, XML content, you need to use the AI transform function in an XSL value of, and then use the disable output escaping attribute in order to have the content inserted not escape in the document. And I'll show you an example here with a list. So I have this list here that verifies if should be created a data list from it. And if I use this fix to create a data list, it will get me this unordered list and with the list item from each phrase, right? It's very easy to convert the content and also generate XML content in the document. Another interesting example is to allow the user to specify how to solve the problem and pass this through the AI system. And you can do this with user entries. So let's say you want to verify, for example, if you have the Wi-Fi term added in your phrase, and then say you do not want to add this term or want to be reformulate or replace it with a more detailed term. So you can have a dialogue where the user can specify how to fix this situation. You can have a default, for example, reformulate phrase to replace the ambiguous term with a more accurate one, but the user can add its own content here. And how you can do this? You can do it with a user entry. So you can have a user entry, you can specify a default for the user entry, and then in the transform content function, you can use this user input, right? The content that user inputs, and this will be sent to the AI system as an instruction. And I will show you here an example. So I have this this file here that contains the Wi-Fi, and I can say that I want to specify how to fix this, and I have a default, but I can also change this and provide other information how to reformulate this, maybe remove the term or use other terms. And then if I click OK, this instruction will be sent to the server, and then the phrase will be reformulated according to my instruction. So you can also allow the user to do this by using these user entries and input the instruction. So you can use AI, this AI function, transform content and verify content function that we provide in built-in in Oxygen if you install the Oxygen positron add-on. You can use it for validation with Schematron for quick fixes. You can use it also for refactoring action. If you create Oxygen refactoring action or custom frameworks, and also in XSLT or XQuery. Then another interesting action that we added is to generate the fix automatically. And this can be done for the Schematron errors based on the message from the Schematron. So you can use the message from the Schematron report or assert as an instruction for the user. And you can create a prompt like act as a developer and perform the following task, and then pass as instruction the assert or the report. And then as content, you can use the context node and use the content of the short description in this case. And then the operation that will be performed will be to replace the content with the new one. And this is very interesting because you can do this not only for Schematron, but also for other messages. I'll show you an example here. So if I validate this document, I'll get the results here in the results view. And for example, here I have a problem with the cells that are missing from this table. And I have here a positron AI fix that I can call, and this will correct the table based on this message that the table should have 3 cells. And I can also preview the modification that the AI makes, and we see in the left it's my version of the document, and in the right is the version of the document that AI provides me. And we see that also added some content here. So it determined that here it's the soil that should be added on this column, and added also some information, maybe if I want to change it later. Then I can also replace this in the document and the problem will be fixed. So you can apply this type of fixes for any problems that you get. Of course, there are also some challenges here, and so the advantages will be that you don't need to create the SQF fixes anymore. You can use this automatic fix to generate the fix based on the message. And you can fix based on the Schematron messages, but also for other schema messages. For example, if you validate with XSD, XML schema, RelaxNG or other schemas, based on the messages from the validator, an AI fix is provided, and you can correct the problems directly there. The challenges will be that the messages should be concise and as should be as clear as possible, so the AI system will understand what to do when you apply the AI fix. And sometimes maybe you do not want to replace the content, maybe you want to do other operation or in other place from the document, and in these cases you cannot use the automatic fix. But in most of the cases, when you want to do a replace, you can use also this type of fix to automatically fix it, the problem. You can use AI also for development. And here you can use AI to generate content, for example, to generate Schematron, XSLT, XSD, or JSON schema documents. For this, we provide the follow instruction action that it's available in the AI Positron Assistant. And you can use to generate the content based on a comment that is added in the document. Just have a comment there and then use the follow instruction, or based on the selected text. You can also generate documentation for this type of documents, and I'll show you some example how you can do this. So generating Schematron using AI. So let's say you want to create an assert that verifies the number of words to be 10. You can do this very easy. So if you know Schematron, you can say, okay, I use the count function tokenize. But someone that doesn't know how to use it, or if you want to do it faster, you can use AI very easily here. Another example would be to create an assert that verifies if the text matches it's in fact an email. For this, it's hard to write a regular expression, so you can ask the AI to do it, and it's very good on regular expressions from what I tested. I'll show you some examples here. Let me close these files. So for Schematron, I have this new file here. So I have here a comment that says an assert that verifies the number of words to be 10. And I can right click here, AI Positron, and I can use this follow instruction. I also added a shortcut, Ctrl+Shift/, so you can also define a shortcut so you can use it more easily just by pressing the shortcut. And if I invoke this action here, it will generate me an assert that says that the number of words should be 10. And then I can invoke the action also here for this assert that fails, checks if the text is an email. And also this will create an assert and verifies if the text matches to an email regular expression. And another example is here where you have an assert that verifies the date format. So it's very easy to do this. There are some cases, for example, like here, where it generated a variable, but you need to check the result, of course, from the AI system and verify if this is correct. You can also correct this content by using the chat. So if you want to use to generate other things here, maybe use as context the current node. It should change the response, and you'll have a different response from the AI here. So you can also correct the content and generate the content that you want using this view here. Then you can also generate documentation for Schematron. So if you want to document your schema and use this AI, you can have a rule that, for example, what I added here, verifies that the Schematron rule or the assert, this Schematron rule element or the assert element has a comment before, and in case doesn't have a comment, I added a fix that will say create a comment and use the AI transform content function and pass as instruction, act as a Schematron developer and describe the code. And then I pass the code from the Schematron rule or the Schematron assert that I get here. And this allows me to generate a comment for the current rule. And I'll show you an example here. So this is a Schematron that it's about a tournament, and this is the Schematron schema that I used to verify. So this is the assert, and this is the fix that I showed you earlier. And then I can go here and see that I do not have a documentation for this, and I can ask the AI to create a documentation, and it explains me what the rule does with all the asserts that are here and how many asserts are in the document. So you have an explanation of the rule. Also, if you want to have a more detailed explanation about the assert, you can add the documentation also for the assert, and I'll generate documentation also for this assert. I'll ask the AI to generate me a documentation, and I get XML comment that explains me the current assert, when it fails, what it matches. So it explains in words what this assert does. So it's very good also for using this and generating documentation. You can use also the AI to generate XSLT code, and sometimes maybe when you want to generate complex functions or complex templates, it's helpful. Of course, also here you need to check the result, and maybe the result is not always perfect, but it can help you to speed up your work. And I'll show you an example also for this. Let me close these files. So for XSLT, I have here a test file, and I have different comments that explains the functions that I want to create. And for example, let's say we want to generate this function that gets a string and a length and then substrings breaking a word boundary. So I can invoke here the following instruction function, and then I'll get these functions created here. And then I can also go forward and say make this function recursive, So I can improve maybe my the result that I get from the AI if I'm not perfectly okay with the result, and I get a bigger function that is recursive now, and I get also the explanation from the AI, and then I can just select the content that I get from the AI and paste it here in the editor. Of course, then I need to check, verify, test maybe the function, and make sure that it does what I want. You can also generate documentation, and I added here a rule that verifies if my templates or function are documented. Also, if I have a comment before them, and then I can use a fix that will say create an XSL comment, and then act as an XSLT developer this time and describe the XSLT code that I give you. And I can have here, for example, some function and templates, and I can go to this template, let's say, and I say, okay, I want to explain what this template does with get navigation image, and it explains me what happens inside templates, what variable are used, then what is called after this. So you have an explanation of all the things that are done in this template. Then you can also create XSD with AI. Similarly, you can use XML comments directly in the XSD document and use the following instruction. And you can have a prompt like a complex type that defines a tournament, for example, and it'll generate you a complex type, something like this. So I have here an example or for XSD. So I can say I want to generate a complex type for a tournament, and I use the following instruction, action, and I'll get a complex type for a tournament. Then I want to have maybe another complex type for a purchase order, and I can also ask AI to do this. So if you want to speed up your work and you want to create different types in your documents, you can use the AI just to just by invoking this action, the following instruction action. Similarly, you can verify, you can generate the documentation for XSD. So if you have an XSD that is not documented, you can use a fix that would say something like act as an XSD developer and describe the code and pass the XSD code. And also here, for example, I have this tournament and I added the rule for element and complex type. So it verifies that the elements are documented and the complex type are documented, and then I can add this this comment here that I get from the AI, and I can also check if it's correct with what I need to have as a description. You can use also AI for other type of documents, not necessarily XML. For example, you can use to generate JSON schema. And here it's also very easy. You can also use the following instruction action. I have here an example for JSON schema, and I want to generate, for example, a type for a purchase order. This time I do not have XML comments, so it will use the text from the document, and this will be replaced with a JSON schema type. So if I invoke the following instruction and select this text here, this will be used as an instruction, and then I'll get a type for a purchase order with the items for the purchase order, with the required types and so on. So you can also use this action in other type of editors, like in JSON schema, if you want to develop this type of documents. So as a conclusion, you can use Schematron to verify documents, and you can specify what you need to verify in the document. And this is very important with Schematron, because you can specify the exactly content that will be sent to the AI service. You can also correct the content, and you can use SQF, and also in this case you can specify the content that will be sent to the server and the content that will be replaced and how it will be replaced. You can also generate fixes automatically, so Oxygen provides this automatic fix based on the Schematron message or on the error messages. And we provide also support to develop Schematron XSLT, XSD, or JSON schema using AI. So you can just use this follow instruction action that will help you to develop your documents. You can also document your documents and probably will add as built-in the support to document your content using AI. And AI is constantly improving and growing. Of course, there are issues with the AI. Of course, there are situations where it doesn't work perfectly, but it can be used to improve your efficiency and improve your work. Of course, we have also future plans, and we want to develop the support that we provide now. We intend to add this support also in the web author and have this action and function that we provide in the desktop version. We intend to implement also new extension functions that can be used in Schematron, XSLT, or refactoring. For example, to explain when an error occurs. We intend maybe to have also cache for GPT requests. If you have maybe same validation multiple times and you'll get a similar result, you do not need to have multiple requests there. Also, we intend to improve the AI for development and add new actions that will help the user to develop the content in Oxygen. I have a question for you here. What features are the most important for you? I added here the features that we intend to implement in the future, but if you have other suggestion, you can use the questions panel and provide us feedback. So your feedback, it's always welcome, and I think it's important to get this feedback from you and see what you need more. So you can select one or more of the features that I added here, or you can check other and maybe use the chat to provide us more details. We'll leave this a few moments so everyone will answer, and then we can share the result with you. We'll see in which direction we should go more. Okay, so I see that most of you wanted for the development, but also this cache support, and this is good. Also, some of you for the web author and new extension function. If you have ideas or if you have needs for extension functions, you can also send us your feedback. It's possible that we can add also custom extension functions, so the user could specify specify a custom function that uses AI. Right now is not possible, but maybe in the future. So thank you for sharing this with us. So this added here some resources about OpenAI, Schematron, and SQF if you want to check. There are also some resources that I added in the presentation. I think we are at the end. If you have questions, you can address them now. And I will ask Alex to read some of the questions that are were added during the webinar. But if you have other questions, you can also ask them now.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here in the support team. Thank you, Octavian, for this insightful presentation. Although we work in the same company, there are so many things going on, especially in this AI department, that it's quite hard to be up to date with all the features that are being implemented inside our company. So we do have questions. I've answered them together with my colleague Florin when they were asked. So let me go through them. So one question is there an offline possibility to connect to an on-premise AI engine? So the answer is not yet. Right now, our positron add-on only works with OpenAI. But when we designed this positron add-on, we took that into consideration. So in a future release, we actually do want to add this feature, either the possibility to connect to on-premise internally trained model, or perhaps to a Microsoft Azure ChatGPT service. Next question, how are you judging that content is easy to read? So probably this was the question asked by the time when Octavian presented some examples with how to refactor, rewrite content. And the answer is, well, actually, we leave the AI model to decide, because with his training, his a great training data set, he now has a understanding, let's say, of what easy to read means and how to fix it. Actually, this is something that it's a bit related with the next future question, which I will get to it, and then I'll talk a bit more about this. Another question is, how does it know to treat the dash as a bullet and not as part of the list? It's just something that the model has learned, again, from its training, from all that data. He learned that that leading dash is not actually part of the content, but it's the marker for the list. And
yeah, probably if the dash is the start of the line or something, and even if I say that you need to create a list, to create an item for each phrase, it will determine that in fact there is a phrase and the dash should be not be there.
Yes, so prompt engineering, it also plays an important part. It's how you give it instructions and how you test it. Another question was, sometimes ChatGPT improves its responses on repeat, honing the question. If we're experimenting with SQF, we might want to rerun it to inspect different possible messages. Is there a way to undo, redo the SQF? And is it expensive to send multiple requests per Schematron file to the AI? Well, yes, it's true. On one hand, there is this creativity that the AI has, and it's not giving you the same answer every time. But it also, again, it's a matter of prompt engineering, how you craft that question, those instructions, so that the AI actually performs what you want. And to help you with that, the positron add-on has the chat view, in which you can develop such messages, prompts that you will use afterwards in the SQF. And yes, and also I want to add that with this, when you're creating these prompts, there's a best recommendation that says you should first start with no shot. I mean, you just tell the AI to generate a list and see if he does it, if it's clever enough, if he knows what you mean. This means no shot. I mean, you just leave it up to its actual training. And if you discover that it doesn't do what you expect, then the next step would be to give him an example in these instructions that you're giving it. And this is called one shot, or perhaps one example is not enough. You give it two examples from which he will learn and deduce what you expect of him. So I expect this approach to help you when you develop your prompts, your messages for SQF and for validation. Is there a minimum version of Oxygen needed to install the add-on? And the answer is yes, it requires Oxygen version 25. This is because we use newly introduced API, and that's why it's not compatible with earlier Oxygen versions. Is or will AI be available in WebAuthor? And Octavian already mentioned in his last slide that yes, so it's not yet available, but we are working on it, and we want to make it available soon, probably with the most likely with the next version of WebAuthor, maybe sometimes in autumn this year. But we wanted to start to have something for the desktop version, so we can bring it to our users. They can test it and collect feedback, see what they like, what they would want for us to improve, and so on. Again, how was the AI tuned to be data or Schematron aware? For example, how was trained so that he could generate Schematron rule with regular expression? Again, it's part of its original training. We didn't have to do anything for that. He just knows. And but again, if
we are doing something, so we specify when you are in a document, we specify, for example, that it's a Schematron, and you need to use this instruction to generate Schematron document. So, for example, if you are here in this Schematron and you want to generate an assert, you have also in the follow instruction action, you have also a built-in prompt that says, okay, this is a Schematron editor, and you are a Schematron developer, and you need to perform the task that I give you.
Exactly, yes. But it's not something part of its training. It's how we created this prompt, how we engineered the instructions for the AI.
Yeah.
And one last question that I didn't get a chance to answer. Is the generated schema or XSLT for specific versions? For example, XSD 1.0 versus 1.1, XSLT 1 to 3, JSON schema draft versions.
Probably you can do this. Right now, we do not provide this information, but probably in the future, we can determine, for example, if you are in an XSLT that it's version 3.0, we can specify that the code should be also 3.0. And I think the AI will know to generate this type of code.
Yep. Yeah, so right now, my colleague Florin told me that perhaps you can give it, extract more data from the XSD, like with the version attribute, and send it in this prompt that is being sent. So, or perhaps explicitly request in the message, in the prompt, to generate XSLT3 if you work with it in your project. So I guess there is a current workaround if you want to experiment with it. Okay, so thank you for the webinar. We would need support for open source large language model. Well, thank you for sharing. Please write us an email on our email support address. Maybe you can give us more details that will help us drive the development in the right direction. What will be the cost beyond 3 to 150 requests? Well, right now we are still in an experimental and incipient phase. So we haven't yet released any subscriptions, but we intend to to offer a subscription to the service. But I would say first just give it a try, see how helpful it is, and afterwards, if you decide it's worth buying and you need more than those 250 free requests, then write us an email, and we'll put you in touch with our sales team, and we'll give you a code. And would it be possible for the AI to write DTDs, for example, data specializations? Do you want to answer that, Octavian?
I think
we didn't try.
I didn't try, but I think it could do this. I don't know if the follow instruction it's available for the DTD editor, but probably you can have a prompt that will say generate.
In the chat view, right?
Yeah, in the chat view, that generate DTD for this data document. And for sure it will help you. It will be a starting point. Probably not. The AI will not give you the perfect response. Sometimes
yes,
it's amazing. It gives you what you need. So sometimes it says you're
say
wondering,
what? How does he know?
Yeah, how does it know? Yeah. But sometimes you get a response that is not perfect and you need to tune it. So yeah.
But the good thing is that if you've done a data specialization before, and I think the user that asked did that many times, then you have the skills to catch those errors that might be there in the generated DTD. As opposed if this is the first time you're doing it and you don't know anything about data specializations. And one last question, this cannot be used on classified secret texts. They are sent to OpenAI engine. Well, yes, that's true, but we're using the OpenAI REST API, and they state that they will not use this content in any way, as opposed to what might happen when you're using the ChatGPT website. And there was an incident in which Samsung employees were using ChatGPT site to help them with their work, and private information was leaked into the next release model, so it was used for training. But when you're using the REST API for request, or if you're using the playground, the OpenAI playground, the agreement, the OpenAI states that it won't use your data. So I hope I didn't miss any questions.
Yeah, maybe we'll check later if it's something
Yes,
that
if in case we've missed any of them, we'll write you an email afterwards. So Aline, I think it's back to you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex, for taking over the Q&A part of today's webinar, and of course, thank you, Octavian, for your great and in-depth presentation. I want to remind everyone that today's webinar is being recorded as we speak, and starting tomorrow, you can find the recording available on this on the event page for our live event. And also, if you have any other follow-up questions, we invite you to use the Oxygen feedback commenting platform found at the bottom of this. Regarding our upcoming events, I invite you to also take a look at our events page, where you can also find the links to register for our future webinars. Right now, we don't have any webinars scheduled in the near future, but for sure, we will schedule them in the upcoming weeks or months. And also, you can see the events where we will be attending live, so we can have some great meet and greets. In closing, I want to thank you all for being able to join us today. Great thank you to our team, Alex and Florin, for helping us with your questions. And again, a big thank you to Octavian for taking the time to have this great presentation for you all. Until our next live events, I just want to say that I wish you to stay safe, to enjoy this summer, and of course, have a great day or evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for being here.